out there. Hey, welcome back to the Director's Garage. I am your host and resident idiot, Michael. And today, folks, we're taking a first look at a brand new product from a legendary amp maker. This thing right here. It's exclusive, it's expensive, and it's really big.
What is it?
Got an exclusive.
It's an exclusive.
At the Director's Garage.
So exclusive. So exclusive.
Only at the Director's Garage.
So big, I can't fit the box in the frame, and I had to reconfigure my entire studio to pull this episode off. This thing came in a flight case, like an honest-to-goodness flight case with a handle and wheels. But before digging in, you know there's a story. So about 8 months ago, I was contacted by a rep for the great amp maker Ray Samuels. Now, Ray is the brains behind some truly groundbreaking designs, and the pinnacle, until now, was a renowned desktop amp called the Dark Star. Now, this was one of the only amps in its day capable of driving Hi-Fi Men's notorious and amazing HE6, one of the thirstiest headphones of all time. So when Ray's rep asked me if I'd be interested in checking out an all-new product, I thought first, why me? I mean, come on, people. I know my place. And second, abso-frickin-lutely. So the months rolled by, and once every 6 weeks or so, I'd get an email from Ray's folks, and I thought, well, whenever it happens, it'll happen. But honestly, what I was expecting was some new portable. Ray has made some of the greatest portable amps ever. So about 2 months ago, a few things happened. First, I was live streaming and talking about how a Dark Star had come on the market. My thoughts are exactly what they are now. I desperately want one, and if only to prove my point that a great amp is a great amp, the tech and the theory behind them haven't changed, and the Dark Star is a beast. So the day after that live stream, I got a call from Ray's rep saying the new amp is heading my way. Now, I do a Patreon Zoom meetup for members, and I like to try to book interesting guests. So I asked Ray if he might do a Patreon hangout, and he said, sure. I spent a few hours talking with him in advance of the live stream, and I was taken by how passionate this man is about designing great products and standing by them. The Zoom hangout was one of my favorites, and I want to get Ray back again in the future. He's just an amazing guy and a wealth of knowledge. Oh, and his new amp, well, it's a full-blown powerhouse that drives both dynamic and electrostatic headphones, and we've got the only one in the world right here. This episode is so big that I've got to do this next part standing. It's the first ever standing Director's Garage episode. So here we go. We're going to undo a whole bunch of latches here on this magnificent and massive flight case. I have no idea what to expect inside this thing, and I'm sorry if things are a little wonky to you guys, but we're just going to do it. We're going to open this thing and see what's inside. All right, here we go. We're going to try not to hit this microphone here. And look at that. Okay, here we go. Oh, okay, we got right down to something here. So first we've got this tether cord here. This thing goes between the amp and the power supply. It's the only way I can do this, guys. I don't know what else to do. All right, we've got tether cord. Then open it up again, and we've got the what appears to be the mother of all power cables. Let's check this out real quick. And, whoa, baby, look at this thing. Look at this amp. Put it on the main camera. This is the power cable for the Ray Samuels, new Ray Samuels amp. Oh my. And then there's something else that's in here. It looks like these might be spikes for the feet. We'll put these aside for now. Dig back into this box. I feel like we're going into a lunchbox or something. Somebody else's lunchbox. All right, nobody's looking. Let's go. And this looks like, oh, this might be the amplifier part of it. How do we get this thing unwrapped? Okay, it's all bubble wrapped up. Start cutting some of this away. Amazing bubble wrappage. Okay. All right, not too bad, not too bad. Oh, here it is, guys. Here it is. This is it. This is the amplifier part of it. There's a power supply down below, but this is the B21 Raider, and I'm going to show you this for the first time. Whoa, look at that. Look at that. Holy shadoobies. Goodness me. Goodness me. Well, the first thing I can tell is that we've got ourselves dynamic, a 4-pin dynamic and 2 dual-pin balanced, and then you've got 2 5-pin for electrostatics, an input selector over here that's going to go between 2 RCA and 3 XLRs. You've got a gain input right here, and you've got your headphone switch between dynamics and electrostatics, and then 1 killer stepped power attenuator. Very cool. Backside, let's take a look. Backside has got 2 single-ended inputs. These are unbalanced left and right RCA, and then you've got 3 sets of XLR inputs and the snake port. So right out of the gate, this thing's looking pretty impressive. Needs some feet on the bottom. That's what those feet were for. But look at the beauty of this thing. Goodness me. Goodness me. This is impressive. Okay, let's dig deeper into this box. I'll put this aside. Back into the box, and let's go down a level. Now we got a whole other level of this pick and pluck memory foam or foam padding. And this would be the power supply of the amp. This is going to be where the weight is. Oh yeah, there are some windings in here, guys. And oh, what a giant power supply this thing looks to be. Okay, how do we get this thing undone? Looks like we've got a lot more tape. Now, Ray shared with me some ideas or some concepts behind this amp. First of all, I know this thing is 100% hand built. Ray builds these himself. There are 7 of these planned. Of those, I believe 3 or 4 are already spoken for. Parts cost $8,000 just for the parts. The total manufacturer resale price is $12,500 to $13,000, somewhere in there. Not the cheapest amp ever, but you consider you're getting a hand-built amp by a legendary amp maker that drives both E-stats. This could be the one amp to rule them all, really. Okay, that's good. This is his baby. This is his baby. And guys, this is the only one that is actually at this point built. The rest of them are sitting in parts. He doesn't have all the parts in for him yet. This is the version 1 of this. So some things will change for the final production model, he has told me. I don't know what those things are, but I do know that this thing delivers 60 volts per channel. 1 amp per channel, which equates to somewhere around just under 20 watts per channel. Per channel, 20 watts. So this thing is a powerhouse of an amp. And here's the power supply. You ready for it? Whoa. This thing is, look at this. This is all like a laser etched alloy plate onto a massive set of windings. And I'm looking in here, guys, and I don't know if you can see from the top, but I see a whole bunch of giant capacitors in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I count 10 large capacitors and another probably half a dozen. Oh, and with the resistors, they're all lined up. That's the other thing that Ray told me about this amp. He says, first of all, these are military-grade circuit boards. He uses nothing but military-grade products. The name, the B-21 Raider, is a famous aircraft that's coming. It's another stealth aircraft. And he names all of his products after legendary aircraft in an homage to his prior career, which was an electrical engineer for the military. So that's kind of, he's throwing back to his own heritage with the names of these things. He's not just trying to be cool, which it is cool. Okay, the capacitors and the resistors are all aligned so that the positive and the negative flow are in the exact same position across the entire circuit board. All of the resistors are aligned so you can read the value of the resistors, which are signified by rings on the resistor, and they're all in the same direction with the same orientation, and he will not build something that doesn't have an immediate recognition for an electrical engineer engineer when it's taken apart. You want to be able to see where the signal, where the power flows on the circuit board. Plus, it's got to be in the proper orientation so that somebody taking this thing apart knows which direction to put every single component in place. The other side of this is Ray's attention to customer service, and he says if anything on any of his products, any of them, going back to the Dark Star and the other Emeline products, if anything goes wrong ever with one of his products, you put it in a box, you send it back to him, he'll fix it and send it back to you. You just pay the shipping. He says he stands by his products and they have been designed to last forever. Very cool. Very cool. You don't hear that every day from an Emery. Now, this thing is seriously heavy, and I'm going to have to clear all of this up so that we can head into a director's garage sound impression. You know it's going to be epic. All right, we are wired up and fired up. The Ray Samuels B21 Raider is right back here. It is lined up and ready for takeoff. I love doing this. Couple other notes I would tell you is that this amp is capable of driving between 2 and 600 ohms and beyond. It has dual gain outputs of 11 dB and 21 dB. Yeah, Grateful Dead is kind of a tradition around here when we're starting out something new and trying it out for the first time. So yeah, it'll be Box of Rain. And I just for the record, I am going from the DAC out at 6 volts out, and I'm going on low gain on the amp and see if that can drive this Sesfara. Okay, let's hear how it does. Wow. Okay, what is immediately apparent to me is how much solid bass drive this amp has on the Sesfara. I'm not talking like, I'm talking controlled, thumpy bass. I don't know that I've heard the Sesfara produce. This is giving me shades of flashbacks to the Enlium situation. You remember the Enlium 23R when I listened to that for the first time? The Enlium 23R had gobs and gobs of aggressive thump and reserve power on board to really push the Sesfara in a way I hadn't heard before. This is that experience, but it's a cleaner sound than the Enlium. Much cleaner. Exciting sound. This is another level on the Sesfara. I have not heard it driven this well, at least initially. First listen, first couple of notes. I'm telling you, the bass is a force out of this headphone with this amp. I have not heard this before. Now, the rest of the signal, so far it's got a beautiful mid, the highs are clear, and this amp sounds very clean. I'm absolutely hypnotized by the sound of this thing. This is next level stuff. This is next level stuff. I'm telling you, I have not heard the Sesfara driven any better, at least from a first listen. Okay, where do we go from here? I want to hear some stuff. Gotta hear some stuff. All right, I'm going to go to something really detailed next. I'm going to go to Eric Clapton, and I want to hear off of the Unplugged album. I'm going to listen to a couple of tracks off of this. I'm going to start with Sign. Although it's not a high-res recording, this is one of the finest recorded acoustic guitars I can remember hearing. And the live recording and the way it was mixed is just special. There is incredible detail on this amp. And you get that sense of not just having good quality bass, but that sense that I had with the Enlium of there's a force behind the bass. Like, it has power on reserve to push this headphone as hard as it needs to be driven. I am absolutely taken by this, the sound of this amp. Guys, I'm telling you, this is the finest amplifier I've ever heard. Finest headphone amplifier I've ever heard. And I've had $8,000 Zähl, I've had Enliums, I've had all kinds of amplification in here. I mean, at $12,500, it shouldn't surprise me that I'm getting a good sound. But this is everything I loved about the Enlium, but clean. It doesn't have that ragged kind of grittiness that the Enlium had. And I'm able to drive this on low gain mode. I'm driving the Susvara perfectly into loudness. It's just beautiful. The transients on the top end. Let's do a transient song. Let's stop for a second. We're going to go to Supertramp. And we're going to go to that amazing Crime of the Century album from the early mid 1970s, 1974. And I want to hear what this sounds like, because the transients on this song are among the best ever done. And this is a high-res file. This is 192 kilohertz. And the harmonica and the horns and everything on this record, there's so much reverb and it's so detailed. It goes on a great amp, on a great DAC. It just fades forever. The sound on this fades forever. And it's so eerie and it's so beautiful. Excellent image. Stuff is... you've got a horn over here. I think it's a clarinet. And then you've got the guitars here. You've got a guitar going into reverb in the middle. It's very quiet, very subtle in here. It's very delicate. Big scream coming. Hang on. We're going to kick the song. Oh, that bass section just hit the main section of the song. And we're going deep, deep into the sub here. There is authority down low and extreme control. Oh, drums just bouncing around the stage. Yeah, there's no tone control involved here. This is just, it's pushing the Susvara the way it should be. And it is so clean. Okay, I'm going to pause a little bit here just in disgust, because this is everything, and I said this in the Enlium review, but this is everything I wanted this Susvara to be from the beginning. I wanted it to have ample, controlled bass and extreme detail. I wanted it to give me an electrostatic-like experience, but with the dynamicism and the bass that only a planar magnetic can deliver. And that is this. That is this. And that's so exciting to me. And I'm actually like jaw on the floor at how amazing and effortless this B21 Raider is going about its business. It's not doing anything to hamper the speed of the DAC or it's not bunching anything up. Everything is staying perfectly separated. Let's go over now. I'm going to go over to the Stax X9000, and we're going to listen to the same track on the X9000 and see what this amp can bring to a Stax experience. All right, folks, I'm going to turn this down. We're going to pop it over to the electrostatic side. And now we are on the electrostatics with the Stax, and I'm going to go back to that same school song, and we're going to hear what it sounds like. Now this has got another level of detail on that reverb. It's actually a little more responsive. It's a faster headphone in to some of the subtleties down low. Okay, here comes that same section where the bass comes in and the song comes to life. Kid Scream kicks it off. Here it is. Right. It doesn't have the sub. It doesn't have the sub of the Sisfara, but it does have all of that electrostatic goodness for sure. There's just detail on top of detail with electrostatics. You can't get this anywhere else. It is special. I'm gonna go to the Macy Gray Stripped album. This album has a stage that can only bring a smile to your face because it's a binaural recording done by Chesky, the masters of binaural recordings. And this is oh, this is beautiful. Macy comes in right in the middle. She's singing in this giant space, and to hear her voice echo off into nothing, this has echo that extends out into forever. And why we like great gear with this album is that it will show you the exact space that they were using when they recorded this. You've got Macy right up tight on a mic, and then bongos and percussion are just extending off into nowhere, and guitar and a string bass, and it's so great. This is She Ain't Right For You, and I just love the percussion on this song. That's why I go to it. You close your eyes on this song and you can visualize exactly where every instrument is, and it's pure and stunning. And I'm telling you, the reverb effects with this stack combined with this amp is unbelievable. It's just phenomenal. And this is now this part of the amp is something I want to shoot out with my Carbon CC, because this is driving this. I think there's more power here than my Carbon CC, but I'd be interested to hear the quality of the playback. But I'm telling you, this is a righteous electrostatic amp. It's doing great things with the bass. I don't think it goes into the sub the way that the Sisfar does, but I do think it gives you a decent bass representation, which is something a lot of amps just struggle to do. It's fast and detailed and clean, and there's no noise with this amp. No noise with this amp. No noise at all with this amp. So let's, boy, just a few songs here, but I gotta not make this a half an hour episode. So I'm gonna go back to the traditional, the dynamic driver side. And I'm going to do a quick change to the Mod House Tungsten here, which is obviously the hardest to drive headphone I own. And let's go to, I want to give it some, I want to have some fun with this before we get off the air. So we're going to do some little harder tracks, stuff that I enjoy listening to. And the first thing, I've done this track a little bit, but I want to go to it again. And we're going to go to Rush. And let's go to that Sector 2 recordings, and I want to hear Red Barchetta on this thing. I really want to hear Red Barchetta on this thing. And I love Red Barchetta because it's got such spatial awareness, and I'm getting that spatial awareness right away. What I don't hear on the Mod House is that slam and bass. And that's because I'm still on low gain. So I'm going to bump this thing up to high gain now, and let's see what... Oh, yeah. Immediately the bass ignited. Yeah, I mean, now it's really jumping at the bottom end. It's pushing these into a nice bit of slam. Yeah. So you're going to be on high gain for the Mod House Tungsten, but I can drive these Sesfara on low gain just fine with 6 volts out of the deck. And this is all about the gain staging we were talking about. We'll get into this when we do the full review of this amp. But I'm really, really supremely impressed. There is nothing like this amp that I've heard. In short, I'm going to do one other track because I'm wearing an AC/DC shirt. I want to hear some AC/DC today. And I'm going to go to Back to Black, and I want to hear the title track. I just want to jam out a little bit here. It's so good. Guys, the bass is so solid and tight. I've never heard an amp like this. Control. And control on metal, or hard rock, if you will. This isn't really metal, I guess, but control on hard rock is hard to achieve because you've got so much power and stuff is overlapping, and most amplifiers, they just bunch things together, like you get too complicated and things just kind of blob. This gets everything. It just keeps everything separated. There's power here, and control and drive. And music. It's gorgeously musical at the same time. This is bringing everything. This is just bringing everything you'd ever want. All right. I'm going to pause here because I've gone as far as I can go with the first listen. The next thing I've got to do is start breaking this down and listening to other things in comparison to this unprecedented amp. I'm going to call it an unprecedented amp because I've not heard anything like it before. Last week we got a great amp in the Aegis. We heard a really good tube amp, and what I was impressed about that amp is that it shot way above its price point, $3,500. This is $12,500, so it better be in that god tier of amplification. And what I can say without question is that I have not heard anything this good that I can recall. And I'll do some A/Bing, and I want to hear it against the Carbon. The electrostatic side I'm a little less certain of than the dynamic side. The dynamic side is positively killing it. Whatever I threw at it, whatever it had, it gave back to me more than I expected. And on that note alone, I'm incredibly impressed. This is one of the most powerful amps I've ever heard. And the amazing thing is that it's doing all of that noiselessly and with tremendous control. In a package that's really frickin' cool, I might add. So there's great B-roll coming your way too on this episode. All I can say is I got to thank Ray Samuels for allowing me to hear this one of one. Nobody else has this because he hasn't made any more yet. I'm the second reviewer to get this product. And I'm frankly, it's another class. It's another tier from anything else on this table back here. That includes a Wu WA5 LE, that includes the Aegis amp back there, that includes this Macintosh up here, and the Carbon back there. That one remains to be seen. But this is another level, and it's better than anything else I've ever had in here out of the gate. And I got to do some listening to it to be sure, but I'm absolutely blown away and convinced I have not heard a better solid state amp in this room before. And that's saying something. Now, for $12,500, you should also say, well, duh. But when we're constantly pursuing that next level, when you hear something that is so next level, especially with something that I have searched and tried every combination in the world to drive, there's nothing like this B21 Raider M-Line amp from Mr. Ray Samuels. I got to thank Ray Samuels for sending me this amp my way to review. Ray is a great guy, and I've gotten to know him a lot over the course of getting this amp here. And I think he's going to have no problem selling all 7. The question is, how am I going to be able to afford one, people? Because I don't have $13,000 sitting around the director's garage. That's going to be another question that I'm going to have to work out. But it's an amp that I want desperately at this point, more so than even the Dark Star that I have been pining over. There's nothing like this, and I haven't heard anything like this yet. So that is the Ray Samuels B21 solid state electrostatic and dynamic headphone amplifier, which he's nicknamed the Raider. Okay, we're going to be doing a full review of this impressive amp in an upcoming episode. Next, we're going to be diving back into another amp, the ZMF Aegis Tube Amplifier. We also have a mystery box from Audio 46 and a full review of the ZMF Caldera Closed Back, if that's not enough for you. Lots ahead. Make sure you...
Hey, like and subscribe to the Director Garage.
Give this episode a thumbs up if you enjoyed this first look at this incredible amplifier from Ray Samuels. Thanks again, Ray. And you can do the other thing if you wish B21 would just drop a bomb on this studio. I can't say I blame you either way, and I will see you before you know it. Epic episode.
Can you show me the way
To the direct garage. It ain't too far, no it isn't. No it isn't. But I've been searching and searching away.